Global charity Oxfam International is calling on the world's wealthiest billionaires to pitch in the fight against COVID-19. According to its inequality virus report, Oxfam says billionaires such as Amazon's Jeff Bezos and Tesla founder Elon Musk have seen their wealth soar during the pandemic, while the world's poor face years of hardship. COVID-19 has unleashed an economic storm that hit the poor and vulnerable hardest, with women and marginalized workers facing the worst of job losses, and the World Bank warning more than 100 million people could be pushed into extreme poverty. Oxfam says it could take more than a decade to reduce the number of people living in poverty back to pre-crisis levels.
The inequality virus report really shows us that inequality has grown almost in every country in the world during this pandemic period, and
Joining us now is Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company Limited, Bismarck Rewane. Mr. Rewane, thanks for joining us on the program.
Good afternoon. Good. Nice to have me.
So tell us, what do you make of the inequality report?
First and foremost, the inequality report is not a surprise to anybody because the world is full of inequality. In any case, the Bible says, unto him who has more, unto him who has more shall be given, unto him who has none, even the little he has shall be taken away. So it's the capitalist world always rewards those who have ideas, who have capacity, and who can actually generate surplus. So since we are in a capitalist world, let us accept the fact that there will be inequality. It is what the people who have do with what they have in giving back to society that matters. So the inequality report says that $540 billion was generated. The increase in the wealth of the top 10, $540 billion, which is enough to actually pay for vaccination for the rest of the world. So that's what it says. So the question is that fair to actually ask these people to pay all of their net worth gains to underwrite the cost of vaccination? If it was the other way, if they had lost $540 billion, what would you have told them to do? Who would have compensated them? So I think we have to understand that before we now launch into the main issue of inequality, fairness, and giving back to society.
Well, to speak more on the idea of fairness, do you think that billionaires should give a little more since they've made a little more during the pandemic? Do you feel that they bear some responsibility during the pandemic?
I don't think they bear responsibility during the pandemic, but they've made money out of the pandemic. There are always opportunities from every threat. But at the same time, they should give back to society because it is because society is there, it's because the markets exist that their companies have done well, and that's why they are making profits. So they owe a moral, financial responsibility to give back to society. In any case, they pay their taxes. I would assume so. They pay their taxes, they get their right backs on capital allowances. And so, fairly speaking, they should give back. And you take 10 of them and divide it equally. It means that each of them made $54 billion each. And I want you to put this in perspective. $54 billion is almost 160% of Nigeria's external reserves, which is $36 billion. Each of these individuals, and that is the increase between February last year and December last year.
Well, the world's wealthiest are already doing enough, aren't they? I mean, for example, you have Bill and Melinda Gates committing $305 million for vaccines, treatment, and diagnostic development through their charitable foundation. And then there's also Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey, who said he was moving $1 billion of his assets into a fund to support pandemic relief efforts. And there are also a number of examples right here in Nigeria. So what's your take on this?
Well, in all fairness, it's nominal. If you see the increase, I just told you that if you divide it equally among the 10 billionaires, each of them made $50 billion each. So what is $300 million in vaccines? But the truth is that Bill and Melinda Gates have been doing this consistently over the years. Warren Buffett has been doing this over the years. So charitable donations are part of the process. In any case, they write it off against their taxes. So I don't want us to assume that the wealthy that are giving back are just giving back. They are actually, these are tax deductible expenses. And they also get a lot of PR and a lot of CSR on this. So quite frankly, I share the view that profits are good. I share the view that people should pay taxes. I share the view that you should give back. But when you look at the quantum of increase which has happened because of the lockdown and other opportunities that have arisen, they have gotten a more than proportionate share of a return compared to the number of people who have died, the number of people who have lost their jobs, the number of people who have. So it is only fair that for some people to consider the fact that, okay, in these extraordinary circumstances, they should be able to give back some and then write it off against future profits and taxes in the future. That's my view.
All right. Well, thanks so much again for joining us, Mr. Rewane, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you for having me.